guys, I'm Layla. Welcome to raidlore Story. So today's lore story, we're going to be checking out Minaya. Now in the game, Minaya and Coronar are a tandem duo. Even though she looks like Snow White, they kind of have like this whole Beauty and the Beast thing going on, right? So they do have an original story that was shared before. So I am curious to see, what Raid has done and what they've changed it to. So let's check out her part of the story. Fiercely independent, famously beautiful, and known for her kind heart and bountiful spirit, Minaya is the archetype of the perfect noblewoman according to the romantic ideals of Bannerlord chivalric epics. But as with any historical figure, various facts are selectively brought to the fore or greatly omitted as the tale is told, and a person quite different from the real Minaya emerged from the patchwork of legend. Most tellers of the tale introduce Minaya after describing the fall and skinwalker curse of Coronar and his entrapment within his forsaken forest castle. She is hurt, exhausted, and vulnerable, having skipped an attempt on her life. Few storytellers care to elaborate on what led her to such a fate, but some speculate that it was courtly politics, chauvinism, or oppressive traditions that set her to flight. Lords of Karak had vied fervently for hands in marriage, not for the sake of love, but for power and influence, and to capture a prize desired by all. But she wished to be guided by love, not politics, and held at bay the countless suitors that came to her with a guileful and grasping hearts. Her refusal to compromise turned her admirers' affections to jilted bitterness, and for some, to burning hatred. A certain wicked baron dispatched assassins to end her, and Minaya was driven in desperation to Coronar's dimnacy. Thwarted and enraged, the baron seized her lands, using her prolonged absence as pretext. Despite Minaya's story being their ideal of romantic love, the lords still pursue loveless political marriages to this day. In Coronar's castle, the skinwalker nurses her back to health, but does not permit her to leave. The lonely and tormented Coronar, desperate for any human contact, had the good fortune to come across a person of exceptional empathy, kindness, and courage, both moral and physical. She was not afraid of his monstrous form, and she endured confinement at his hands because she knew what it felt like to live in fear of murderous pursuit. Neither Minaya nor Coronar wanted either of their respective enemies to endanger the other. In their isolation together, they found enmity, and sure enough, love, for Coronar the Skinwalker was much changed in temperament from Coronar as he was as a heartless human lord. Minaya pitied him and saw the goodness within him, which bloomed with every passing day they spent together. But when he became aware of their deepening bond, Coronar drove Minaya away in fury. He was not yet ready to be redeemed and forgive himself. When she tried to make her way back to her lands and her people, where her duties beckoned, she was attacked again by the Baron's assassins. Later, seeing sense, Coronar rushed to find Minaya and make amends, arriving in time to save her from the ambush. He was gravely wounded, so they retreated to his castle once more, and it was then that they finally confessed their love for each other. Minaya would have stayed with her love in exile were it not for her loyalty to her subjects. Once Coronar was healed, Minaya left to attend to her homeland and duties. There, she discovered the baron who tried to kill her had usurped her title and began a quest to gather support and retake her seat. Coronar, distraught at her long absence, had a vision of her death in battle. He raced to her ancestral keep and arrived just as Minaya and her loyalists were assaulting the courtroom she had once called her own. Coronar was ripping apart the Baron's elite troops when the man fired his crossbow upon him, and Minaya dove into the path of his enchanted bolt, slain by it in Coronar's place. The eternal waltz that had weaved back and forth the lives of Coronar and Minaya had reached a bloody crescendo. Every tale tells that this was not Minaya's end. When Coronar had slain the evil Baron and all his men and finally paused to weep, the Arbiter appeared before him once more and revived Minaya. The official texts of the Bannerlords say that the Arbiter also restored Coronar to human form, and that the two lovers lived happily ever after. Others claim both Minaya and Coronar live on in shards, and their tale continues beyond its fabled end. Okay, guys, so this story actually isn't very different from the original Minaya Coronar story that we have, where, yeah, they make Minaya to be more than just a helpless damsel, right? She's a noblewoman, she has land, she fights for her people, and there's a lot of back and forth that ends up happening, and they even leave it very similarly, where, yeah, she does sacrifice herself for Coronar and die, and the Arbiter brings her back, and technically after that, they both basically serve the Arbiter, right? So guys, I would love to know, what you think of the story from Minaya and Coronar from Minaya's perspective, and I will also be sharing Coronar's story as well, so stay tuned to that.